If you struggle to pick up ballet bar exercises, you need to watch this video because I'm going to show you how to pick up combinations faster by first of all understanding a typical structure of a ballet bar and then how to identify common movement patterns. And these tips apply to all different levels. It doesn't matter if you're intermediate, if you're an adult dancer coming back to ballet, or if you're a complete beginner. These tips should help you to improve your musicality, your coordination and your memory. And if you do find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for weekly updates. So first of all, you'll need to familiarise yourself with the typical order of exercises at the bar. There may be some variation depending on your teacher or the school you're with, but in general, most bars will follow this order. So after your warm-up, you'll begin with your pliés. Next, we'll move on to battement tendu. Then we'll have a battement jeté and or battement glissé. And if you're from North America, you'll call this your dégagés. Then we'll have our rond de jambe, followed by battement fondu. Next we'll have a battement frappé, and you might have an adage here, but if not, you'll finish with a grand battement. So like I said, this may vary slightly. For example, you might have a teacher who gives you two tendu exercises, a slow tendu and a faster tendu, or maybe they might add a whole exercise around rond de jambe en l'air, for example. But this structure here is pretty typical of most ballet bars, and all dancers should be familiar with this order no matter your level. And knowing this order helps you to mentally prepare for what's coming next, even before your teacher has given you an exercise. So the next step is identifying movement patterns. Let's start with pliés. This is the easiest because even for professional dancers, plié exercises never get too complicated. So an improver dancer should be able to do the plié exercise that professional dancers would do in a company class, for example. So a plié exercise will typically involve some demi-pliés, usually two, a grand plié. You'll have maybe a stretch and maybe a rise in there as well. And you'll start usually in first position, then you'll do all of these movements in second position, then typically fourth position, and finishing off in third or fifth position. You might also finish with a little stretch. So once you know to expect those positions of the feet, and in each position you're going to do probably two demi-pliés, a grand plié, maybe a stretch and maybe a rise, then all you need to focus on is which order they come in and then what are the arms doing, or maybe what the head is doing on top. However, all of the other exercises at the bar are usually a lot more complicated when it comes to remembering the combination. So let's take battement tendu, for example, and we'll start off with the most common pattern, which actually has its own name, and it's called en croix, which means in French, in the shape of a cross. So if we were to start in fifth position and always with the outside leg front, an en croix pattern would involve something to the front, something to the side, something to the back, and something to the side. If you imagine you had paint on your foot, it would draw the shape of a cross on the floor. So you've got one arm of the cross going forwards, one arm going to the side, one arm going to the back, and we finish it off with one more to the side. So complete with your standing leg being the other arm pointing out to the side, we would make a cross shape on the floor. But en croix doesn't have to simply be one movement in each of these directions. You could have a small sequence, but just repeated in each direction. So for example, we could have one slow tendu followed by two quick tendus. Then we repeat the same to the side. One slow and two quick. We repeat it to the back. One slow and two quick. And finally to the side. One slow and two quick. So if your teacher were to say to you, I want 1 slow tendu followed by 2 quick tendus, or rather 1 tendu with the accent out followed by 2 with the accent in, repeated en croix, you know that this is what they mean. So I'm going to give a few examples of some typical patterns you might find with battement tendus, but keep in mind there are so many patterns. These are just some really typical ones that you might come across. Keep in mind that the more advanced you get, the less your exercises at the bar will resemble patterns, and the more they'll resemble just pure chaos. Once you get to like a professional level in a ballet company, honestly, some of the exercises I remember from working in a company, there is no pattern. It's just a series of new movements following each other in quick succession, and you're expected to pick it up at the speed of light. But aside from professional dancers, to whom I wish the best of luck picking up their exercises, for everyone else you should recognize some sort of pattern in there. So let's start off with a pattern that goes something to the front, something to the side, something to the front, to the side, to the back. And then we reverse this. So that would be something to the back, something to the side, something to the back, to the side, to the front. Another example might be something to the side, something to the side, something to the front, the side and the back. And again, we reverse this. We love reversing patterns at the bar. Something to the side, something to the side, something to the back, to the side, to the front. So those are examples where we're only using the outside leg. Again, once you get slightly more advanced, your teacher might give you exercises that involve the inside leg as well. So off the top of my head, that might be outside leg to the front, inside leg to the back, outside leg to the side, and a rise or a pause or a plie. Then we reverse this, outside leg to the back, inside leg to the front, outside leg to the side, plus our pause. So a rise, a plie, or something where the legs don't change. Now, one of the most common problems I notice with students is struggling to know where to close the foot when they go to the side. But if you know the pattern that you're following, so for example, if you know that you need to finish with the foot at the back because either you're going to do a movement to the back or maybe the whole exercise is going to be reversed from the back, then whatever you do to the side, you know you'll need to finish with that foot at the back so it's in the correct place for what's coming next. So a pattern that catches people out is when we are doing maybe an en croix pattern, but you've only got 2 movements in each direction, for example, 2 tendus. So if I had 2 tendus front, 2 tendus side, 2 tendus back, when I go to the side, my first tendu needs to close where it is so that the second tendu can close behind, and now my foot's in the perfect place to go to the back. However, if I were to do 3 tendus, then I can always alternate where I close to the side. For example, 3 tendus to the front, 1, 2, 3, that doesn't change anything, my foot's still at the front. When I go to the side, I'm going to alternate. Close back, close front, close back. Now my foot's at the back, it's in the perfect place to do everything to the back. 1, 2, 3. And then I've got 3 more tendus to the side to finish this en croix pattern. And I'm going to alternate where I close. Close front, close back, close front. So identifying your pattern and thinking ahead of the exercise, working out where you need to be for the next pattern or the next movement will really help you to know where you should close the feet. And I've been using battement tendu as an example, but really this applies to all of the others, especially anything with the word battement in front of it. So battement jeté, battement glissé, battement frappé, battement fondu, or even grand battement. Adage and rond de jambe is slightly different. Let's look at rond de jambe. The most typical pattern here that you'll need to remember is that we will usually start everything going en dehors, which means outwards, away from your supporting axis, so forwards and around, and then we'll reverse everything going en dedans. So that's coming inwards, going from the back around the outside and to the front. And this also applies to rond de jambe en l'air. We will usually go en dehors first, and then we'll repeat en dedans. Your musicality is really important here, and it will really help you to pick up an exercise if you know your time signature, so that you know whether you're counting threes or if you're counting eights, for example. And don't worry if you struggle with musicality, because your teacher really should be giving you the counts as they demonstrate your exercise. So just pay special attention to which number they're choosing to count. That probably will be fours or eights, but if it's a plie or maybe even a rond de jambe, it could be threes or sixes. If you're counting in threes or sixes, this will probably be a waltz. And a great tip to identify a waltz that I was given by my music teacher at ballet school is, if you hear a waltz, which is an pa pa kind of rhythm, if it's a waltz, your body will naturally sway. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Whereas if it's not a waltz, if it's anything else, your head will naturally bob. So it's very unlikely that you'll listen to a waltz and your head will start bobbing. If you naturally feel your body swaying, you can be pretty sure it's a waltz. And for our final tip, when your teacher is demonstrating an exercise and showing it to you for the first time, I would really encourage that you do it with them, so that you physically do the steps with them, because not only will muscle memory kick in, and this is going to really help you when it comes to doing the exercise by yourself, but also if there are any issues or maybe counts that don't make sense, or you're not quite sure what the legs or arms or head are doing, you can identify them then and there and ask your teacher before it's too late. Now, you might have noticed that slightly more advanced students will mark an exercise with their hands, and they'll pretend that their hands are their feet, and if you're, for example, doing two tendus to the front, they'll do two little movements with their hands forwards, and then so on. And this is just a really great way to still physically mark the exercise and get that muscle memory kicking in and to be doing the counts with your teacher, but it conserves your energy. You're only moving your hands and not your whole body. So if you're a complete beginner, don't worry about this. Just mirror your teacher physically as much as you can. And then as you get more advanced and you're more familiar with the steps and the different patterns out there, you might want to try using your hands, just because it's a great way to conserve energy. So now that you know the typical order of exercises at the bar, and you're familiar with a few different patterns that you might encounter, why don't you check out this video here, see if you can follow along, and let me know in the comments how you did.